Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
Folks, last year we engaged in a month-long retrospective endeavor to cover all the animated classics in Don Bluth's filmography. This month, brace yourselves as we enter the dark middle chapter on our Bluthian journey. An adventure so dark, it will scare away the sun. No character, tall or small, will be able to match the frigid, critical reception these films received. Before the end, you'll be a bad troll. A very bad troll. Chart a course for Planet Bob. We're diving headfirst into the second season of BluthTember.
Bum, bum,
Bum, bum, bum. Dragon, what the fuck? What did we get ourselves into? This is not Spielberg month. This is not Spielberg month. Dragon, I needed what? Bluth. Okay, thesis very simple here, folks. Rockadoodle is not a perfect movie by any means. It is totally bad shit. But you know what? Rockadoodle has a certain level of passion behind it. I feel like I said it on the podcast, I feel like it's the most surreal of all the Don Bluth animated films, and that has got to count for something. So, Dragon, I'm sitting down to watch Troll in Central Park, and this is the Don Bluth movie that I have the least amount of context for. I know next to nothing about this thing. I'm looking at the cast, and honestly, the cast looks promising. You got John Hurt. You got Carol Channing. You got Jodie Benson. You got
Thumbelina, not Troll in Central Park, folks.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Thumbelina. Yeah, my bad. Dragon. I'm just like I'm dreading what comes next, my friend. So
well,
that's why it's on my mind.
We should all hide under rocks or bridges for the next one.
But you know what I mean? Jodie Benson, Gilbert fucking Gottfried of all people, Charo for the novelty factor. I mean, Dragon, voice acting wise, this movie's stacked. And then I'm watching the opening credits. It's got kind of like a nice sort of mystical vibe to it. I'm digging the music. It's kind of like the background animation is kind of calling to mind the old mill and like old school multiplane animation. And Dragon, you know what? For just a second, I was suckered in. I was like, oh my god, is this like a lost Don Bluth movie where the basis is it's like Don Bluth's true fairy tale movie? Is this going to be like a fairy tale epic by Don Bluth that nobody ever talks about?
Well, it is a literal fairy tale, technically.
And the rest of the movie happened, Dragon. I mean, just Jesus Christ. I mean, I don't even know what to say. We'll break it down. This movie is just fucking god-awful. It really is. It really is. I mean, it's got a couple redeeming qualities to it, but I think you and I can kind of agree. Really, the only redeeming qualities of it are like kind of like, oh, Gilbert Gottfried's fun. We like that Gilbert Gottfried. But I don't know, man. This kind of broke me a little bit, Dragon. It really did. Because, like I said, Rockadoodle at least had some passion and thought put into it. This just feels like it was Don Bluth just ripping off all the Disney. Just all the Disney. I mean, like, Anastasia clearly tries to be Disney Renaissance. It clearly tries to go for that formula. But you know what? At least Anastasia stands on its own, and like we've had the Anastasia talk. It is a damn good movie. It stands with those other Disney Renaissance movies.
That's a good movie for sure, yeah.
But this is just a mess, Dragon. I mean, God. I'm very glad that I avoided it as a kid because I would have just been bored and confused watching this thing as a kid. Like I said, there's a couple side characters that I get some amusement from, but that's mostly just because of the voices behind the characters. Other than that, man, this thing, to quote Tony Stark in Iron Man 3, it's a piping hot mess.
All right.
Please don't tell me you're going to be like, well, Tiki, I actually think it's an underrated gem.
Well, folks, This is where you want to strap in, because this is the fun part of the show.
Oh God.
So, you know what's funny? I think we're going to be flip-flopped on this in Rockadoodle.
Oh no. Oh no, you son of a bitch. You son of a bitch.
Okay, look, so,
Yes, are you fucking serious? Oh God. Alright, well, you know what? Then I have no qualms telling you that I have a few glasses of wine in me, my friend, alright? This is gonna be a fun podcast. Let's lay down the goddamn gauntlet. Alright, what do you got?
no qualms. You realize when you say no qualms, you're basically saying you've been kind of in a sense lying to me under the surface, Mister. I'm all pepped up. I'm sober on focus right now.
Okay, well, you got to admit, I did deliver that intro relatively good, except I believe you had a couple words there missing when I was reading it out, but that's neither here nor there. Anyways, I'm not that drunk. I've only had a couple glasses. I'm good, but still.
Okay. Anyway, so here's the thing. Let me put it this way: if this movie broke Tiki, which I don't doubt it did, Rockadoodle for me was it kind of broke me, but it Kensuki'd me for this one in a sense. In that I'm put back together. I don't think we're probably gonna be atomized again on Troll in Central Park. I'm place your bets, folks.
Are you fucking serious? Jesus Christ!
Here's the thing. So I felt Thumbelina, perfectly harmless film. Not good.
No.
Not good. Let me be very clear. That's not good. Perfectly harmless. It's watchable. In the Disney shadow without a shadow of a doubt. It's absolutely in the Disney shadow. Again, I make no qualms about that. Again, it's like don't overthink it. It's like it's one of those don't overthink it movies for sure. It's absolutely one of those movies. It's more for kids than for everyone. It was kind of like
we're having this conversation right now. I'm kind of floored.
Okay, this is where the wine's starting to get on my nerves right now. We haven't even gotten into the middle of it yet. so again, I feel this is kind of like Bluth slowly but surely, like it's like a very deep like proto Anastasia for Bluth. In that he's working himself up, and that again he's gonna start. He has the smelling salts of this movie, and by the time he gets to Anastasia, he's finally kind of okay. Now I know what I need to do. Okay, that was the rough draft, and now we're on to the actual thing here. In terms of how I'm competing with Disney, how in this case I'm ripping off Disney. I mean, I gotta tell you though, you know, with Thumbelina 2, maybe this colored my perception a wee bit for sure. I mean, it's funny. I've seen shows in my youth about like kind of your pint-sized protagonist, and then you have a character who was relatively small, like the Bill Joyce. He had a book that was adapted to an anime show called George Shrinks. I'm sure you don't remember it at all, but it was a quaint little show. It was kind of like more of like a modernized kind of 50s-esque kind of like retro take on it. It was cute. It was like it had a really catchy theme song. Again, like that was like perfect kids show and everything. It was really nice. And again, like your protagonist was like about the size of a small GI Joe. That's about kind of your premise there. And it was fun and quaint. Again, a lot more substance in this, mind you. But that's what I'm saying. So maybe I got a little bit of fondness in there. Maybe that's why. But again, there were things overall in this. I mean, Rockadoodle has a garbage story that really took me out of it. This I can track the story. It's lacking characterization still, which is Don Bluth's curse with this kind of this second phase that we're in right now. But I gotta tell you, I mean, I would watch this before I watch Rockadoodle again easily.
Oh man, I am easily the opposite.
I know that's so weird. Like, we're very much we're balancing the seesaw this one too.
I mean, Dragon, I know we're going to get into the story, but my basis of the story is that everyone wants to rape Thumbelina.
Well, you took a little darker than I hoped, but yeah, You're not. Well, we'll get there. We'll get there. You're not wrong. Just a little extra graphic. Anyway, okay.
I mean, I can't honestly like. Rockadoodle's plot might be crazy, but at least that plot is ambitious. I don't know. We'll get into it. Dragon, please regale me with the background on this. I have to know.
Okay, not a whole lot, but I'll tell you. So Don Bluth obviously is competing with the Renaissance in full force at this point. This movie comes out in '94. It's like, of course, imagine it's competition. I don't believe it was in the same month, but just generally the same year. You understand kind of what this thing's going up against. Even before then, it's like any stab before this, you have like Aladdin being the main competition. That's not helping. So,
there's a lot of shades of Aladdin that we'll get into.
sure. So, so basically, this is adapting, the famed Hans Christian Andersen story, Thumbelina. So, Don Bluth, as he tends to do with a lot of these movies, especially kind of in the second dark phase that we find ourselves in, Don Bluth, and I feel what really, I honestly, in really thinking about it with this movie, and just kind of looking at Don Bluth's movies that we're going to be covering, it seems to me the kryptonite for Don Bluth is when he was hurting for money. That's when it's like the Seth MacFarlane Family Guy factor. You take Seth MacFarlane out of the equation, you take his attention off the show, bad things happen. I think
Mm.
that's kind of what happened here. Is focus basically Don Bluth. He's paying out of pocket for the movie because he's trying to get the studios afloat, and they're changing names like crazy, going from the Don Bluth Productions, everything. It's nuts, and like this
Sullivan's
is.
blue, Sullivan's out of it.
I know exactly. So you see the chaos that unfurls that gets you to a point like this, where again, like this and Rockadoodle, and especially Troll in Central Park. Speaking of which, so this was in production at the same time as Troll in Central Park. Again, they're kind of doubling down to keep the lights on in a sense. And they ended up originally Troll in Central Park was supposed to come out first, and they ended up having to switch it around because that movie I imagine was more of a steaming hot mess that still, try as they may, I'm assuming will not end well. So essentially, now here's the kryptonite that I believe is going to contribute to a big weak points of the story for this one. They fast tracked the script on this one. That's what happened. So again, Bluth was very busy, with the studio keeping afloat in the double production and everything. So he fast tracked the script instead of the kind of the phase one kind of loving care of Don Bluth back when he actually really cared about the movies.
Oh, and it shows, Dragon. It shows.
So you have that, and there's also some compensation and competition amongst Disney. I don't know if you heard about this. You're gonna love this if you didn't hear about this. Did you know the marketing trick that they pulled on this movie?
Oh God, tell me.
Okay, so in the more so in the test screening process, when they were preparing this movie, again, not as deep, not as well as they should have, they pulled the ultimate dirty trick in the test screenings.
Yeah.
They opened the movie not with the short that like not with the Animaniac short they opened with because of Warner Brothers production technically. I think it was like a co. The point being ended up with Warner.
It's a Fox production, actually.
You know what's weird though? I mean, again, now I think there's like a weird branding because now you have the Warner Bros. Logo in front of the movie, depending on which version you see of the movie.
The version I watched was Fox, actually.
I believe you. I'm just saying that again. There's a Fox version, there's a Warner Bros. It's weird. Anyway, Slice it. They opened with They opened with Animaniacs cartoon at the start. But no. Here's the thing. In the test screenings, they opened with the Disney logo to make the people think they were watching a Disney movie.
Are you serious? Wow.
Tiki, I'll admit, I wasn't there
That is
firsthand.
shady
This is
hell,
what I've
dude.
heard
That's
from a number
shady
of
as hell.
sources. That again, it was just for a test screen, so it wasn't like the official thing. But still,
I
people
don't
went
care
to
if it was for a test screening. That's still shady business practices.
I know it's like the old lawyer trick of like, hey, let's get a guy who looks exactly like the defendant, but he's not the defendant. Again, it works, but by the same token,
Oh
like,
man, dude. Oh, that just to me that just kind of like makes me dislike the movie even more than I already do, honestly.
I don't expect to change your mind on any of this, but
Oh yeah, please don't.
anyway. So again, but this is what I'm saying. Like with the competition with Disney, like they're poaching a lot of Disney voice talent because you have Kenny Mars, you literally Ariel and her father in this movie.
Exactly.
And of course, they pull out the big guns with who they got to do the score for the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Barry Manilow, folks.
Barry Mans, baby.
Manilow. Okay. All right, that's all we got.
All right, so Dragon, please tell us what the amazing story is all about, please.
Well, here's the thing. It's pretty straightforward, and I got to tell you, relatively well adapted from the source material. And that basically, again, crazy as it sounds, the source material with one small alteration, basically introducing the fairy prince earlier in the movie. It's pretty much how the book goes, with a girl born the size of a thumb, thanks to this kind of barley corn flour thing. She's born very tiny. She kind of goes on these misadventures as she's kidnapped and tried to be married off throughout the course of the story, and ends up with the fairy prince. That's the story.
All right, so what's up with the married off thing, Dragon? Because that to me was like in 2020, like I'm not a prude about this kind of stuff, but it was off-putting.
Well, again, we're talking old school Hans Christian Andersen. You gotta remember, this is a story that I presume, and again, this one I can't confirm. I would assume that this is yet, if Disney's looking through all the old school stories they can adapt, they're probably passing over this one, possibly because of the married off thing.
Sure.
Now, again, I can't confirm that. I'm speculating. In Disney, they're probably looking through all the Hans Christian Andersen classics, and again, you imagine at some point they would have come across Thumbelina, right?
Hmm. All right. Okay, so should we just break down the characters then?
Well, I mean, I thought we were gonna like talk. I mean, generally about the story, like the problems and stuff, like all the negative
Oh
stuff.
yeah, sorry. I mean, I can. Jesus,
Where
man,
does it go off the rails for you specific? What's the moment in which it gets thrown off the cliff?
how quickly they meet cute the prince and Thumbelina.
That's really
It's
that's the bit for you.
it's a very rushed scene. To me, it almost kind of has shades of the original Snow White, where it's just like they have like one scene together and then they're apart from each other the whole movie. And I don't know. To me, that's the kind of shit that Frozen makes fun of, Dragon. Honestly,
It is. T. I absolutely agree with you. It is very much kind of the anti-Frozen in that we fall and marry the guy that we just met for sure. Now, but Tiki, you got to remember though, okay,
oh god,
we're years before Frozen. We are. And Bluth is absolutely going for a Snow White vibe because again, I want to say his strategy is instead of like doing the Renaissance, he's going to go for old school Disney. At least that's what he's trying to do. Emphasis in the trying. Now the problem is he's taking he made. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Basically, we're taking a trope that at this time was commonplace. Even in the early parts of the Renaissance, we were fast tracking the relationships. But he did. Here's the problem, though. Here's where he went wrong. He's doing something that again was common practice, but without the safety net and the razzle dazzle of something like an Aladdin, where again you root for these two crazy kids. Where you're on the magic carpet ride, where you kind of there's a buy. Yes, it's quick.
and this movie does have a whole new world sequence, Dragon.
That's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. The movie again, I can't fault it for the whole like marry the guy you just met necessarily, but I can fault it for not having a strong enough connection with the characters to make me accept like the miracle exception that it would be that. So that's where it went wrong in the whole like the meet cute. So I can forgive the meet cute. For me, the problem here's where we dive bomb for the movie. It's the minute the toads get involved. That's where the movie starts. In the story department's like, you know what? I mean, yes, it's still pretty.
Okay, the problem with what, like I'm always down for a good Bluth adventure, and this movie does kind of have a. I don't know, like a bit of a road movie setup. It kind of goes all over the place, but it's kind of half road movie, kind of Alice in Wonderland-esque. It's a little episodic. I don't know, it's very uneven. But Dragon, everyone in this movie besides the fucking bird is an asshole.
Well, okay, here's the thing. The mole, technically, he became that, but because again, he's nailing people up to walls. When we find that out, yes, you're right.
Yeah, Dragon, I think that would constitute an asshole.
No, you're right. I'm just saying again, if you didn't
in
have
the words
that
of Marty McFly, he's an asshole.
If you didn't have that scene though, he would be rather pleasant.
But he does have that scene.
I know I know it's weird. That's what I'm saying.
So it's like Thumbelina is just, and you know what? I guess that is like the most Bluthian thing about this movie, is that Thumbelina is just navigating through all these really unpleasant characters.
Yep. But that's what I'm saying. I mean, I feel to go back again. I feel the Toad is like one of the biggest, potentially one of the biggest. Well, the Beetle's probably the biggest a-hole in the movie technically, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll give him the pass because he's fun.
That's what I'm saying. We'll get there. But I'm saying like the Toad for me is like it's the unforgivable part of the movie. Where again, I know it's part of the story. Again, that's what I'm saying. It's so weird because the movie it's like this weird line of adaptation where sometimes you follow the source material too closely. Where you know what? Yes, this happens, but you know what? We didn't. The biggest problem in the movie is we don't spend any time to develop any of these guys. It's just set. Basically, Bluth he watered down the character development for the animation set piece, which again is kind of not so much movie by committee, which is what Rockadoodle was, but this is sort of like movie on a conveyor belt. Movie on like we have a deadline to meet, we got to make a movie, we got to do so we can make the other movie, and basically again he's trying to keep his head above water, which comes through in like the lack of characters and the lack of like we're making movies to say we make movies, not make movies to enjoy movies.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm saying. I have nothing against the simplicity of the story. I just wish it maintained itself in like the parts that I did like, and like I really like the title character. And again, at least the movie, she's in it more than Rockadoodle, than Chanticleer in Rockadoodle. Sorry, shorthand. But it's.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think this necessarily helps my argument for Rockadoodle being a good movie, but I think Edmund is technically the main character of Rockadoodle.
Okay, let's not get into that. But that's what I'm saying. I think there's an argument. Again, that kid tanked that movie. Anyway, let's.
Yeah, I know. Like I said, I told you up front. I know that it doesn't make a good argument for Rockadoodle as a film.
Well, this is what I'm saying. It comes. All of this comes at a cost of the title character getting kidnapped a lot. I mean, a lot in this movie.
I mean, Dragon. Let's be honest. That's basically the whole movie.
Unfortunately, that's the thing I can't fight. Absolutely, it's just she keeps getting kidnapped a lot, and basically the point of the movie is we get to let's transition to Thumbelina. Let's talk about her. So
okay,
we're gonna talk about Thumbelina, who was voiced by. I gotta tell you, Jodie Benson. I think she does everything she possibly can with this character. Because I do like Thumbelina, even though she's just kind of like more like she's kind of damsel in distress until like the very end, so to speak.
I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and say, like, oh, Jodie Benson doesn't have a good voice for these types of characters, but I don't really think she's doing anything that different with the performance.
That's what I'm saying again. I think this is kind of the harmless quality I'm talking about, where, again, she's not nothing's egregiously wrong here with Thumbelina. And again, like, she's like the buy I have for the movie, where it's, you know what, say what you will about some of these ridiculous things once you get into these toads and everything, but you know what, Thumbelina, I like her. I want good things to happen to Thumbelina. I'm not singing her praises, but you know what? I like her. She's okay. Sure. She's good people. That's the thing. It's like this. She's like this lonely and isolated character. And again, given her, and this, I'm clinging at straws here, mind you. But again, this is what we get at the opening. Is probably the most substance we get with Thumbelina, because again, that's the origin of Thumbelina we get. Where she's lonely and isolated, and we see the whole given scale of it all. Where she feels lonely because she does, until she meets the fairies. She's got no one. She's only like dancing around this little book of like that's the only people that are to her scale. Essentially, you feel bad for her. The fairies open up this world of possibilities for her, and she goes on this adventure in a scaled, basically an outside world to her scale, all the bugs and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Should we also talk about the mother character in this section?
Yeah, let's fit her in there. I mean, sure, yeah. The widow, yeah.
Okay, so first of all, speaking of widow, I wholly believe that Bluth just kind of ripped off the widow Tweed character from Fox and the Hound wholesale with this.
I see. I now you bring it up. I kind of see. Yeah.
I do think it was a missed opportunity that they don't really have an on-screen reunion, considering the pathos that she gets for Thumbelina being missing.
That is a shame, because we talking up. I gotta get back to my mother and so on and so forth. And we see her at the wedding, but still, it's like
Yeah, but it's like just kind of a brief, like, hey, it's you.
Yeah, and okay, perhaps we should just kind of we'll broach into this now a little bit here. Is that again a big point of sympathy with Thumbelina and kind of the story in the movie is that she's always wanted for her voice and to be a trophy wife, and she keeps getting essentially kind of passed around from kidnapper to kidnapper here.
Yeah,
and it's just and you feel. And we kind of build to this point where she stands up for herself and like no, she had like the power of no, which is kind of a nice message. Again, we don't develop enough real estate to this, but it's a nice end point what they're going for. You're like,
no, that's the problem is that she goes through so much shit in this movie that like you're right, it is a good end point, but it's like I feel like by the end it's too little, too late.
That is true, and again, that's
emphasize on the too late part because I feel like by the end, like. People will have turned this movie off before they get to that point.
That's a problem. Like she's not. I don't know if this is the right way of putting it. Like she's not independent enough. Like we don't really like spend a beat with her, really kind of get to know how she's feeling, or her making her own choices here. Because again, she doesn't make her own choice really until that point in the movie, which feels refreshing, but again, too little, too
she's
late.
very reliant on other characters, just kind of like guiding her through the situations.
Pretty much. I mean, the best moment she has is when she's like with the dying bird. It seems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: one thing I have like with Thumbelina. Do you think she was a fairy the whole time, or that she became a fairy? What do you think?
Dude, I don't fucking know. That's one of the things that bothered me with this movie, is that the fairy logic and magic just in general makes no sense.
That's the thing, is it feels like a cop out, but by the same token, well, she was born in a flower. I mean, and she couldn't find anyone.
I also don't like the way that time works in this movie, where the story feels like it takes place over 24 hours, and yet all the seasons go through.
Yeah, that's yeah. I hear you on that. Yeah.
All right.
All right, let's talk about Prince Cornelius.
Oh dear, do we have to?
Oh, it's not a lot to cover, so yeah.
Okay, first of all, I feel like the second time I watched this movie, he's definitely got some faces that called to mind Link from the animated Legend of Zelda.
You know, now that you bring that up, now see, I knew he was. I was thinking more of like, here's what I kind of read as. And you're more correct on this. I'm just saying I kind of looked at it as a little Peter Pan-esque they were going for, but no, it's.
Oh, he's definitely Peter Pan-esque. I mean, that's there too for sure, but.
It's kind of like Peter Pan meets kind of a generalized prince from like a Snow White, Prince Charming, or like an act, like a very.
What I found you here, what I have to say.
Actually, I knew the voice actor on Prince Cornelius, Gary Imhoff. He was Harry Osborn in the Spider-Man animated series.
Boy,
it's kind of funny to see him sing. Oh my god, he can really sing! What do you know?
You know what? I will give him credit. I think besides Benson, he's probably the best singer in the whole.
That's what I'm saying. Despite them being like a really brief courtship, as it were, like we're just gonna rush right into it. I gotta tell you, they had a nice chemistry with each other.
It's honestly, I don't know. I honestly feel like there's a little bit more substance to the Snow White encounter.
Well, I'm trying to think. Did they have more than that the well scene together, or no?
No, they did not have more than the well scene together.
That's what I'm saying. But I guess it's. Let's look. If we're comparing it, I think these guys had more time together. By the same token, though, it's like
But I feel like the Snow White stuff is more iconic, though. That's the thing. It's like people still remember all the stuff with the Prince and Snow White.
Right.
Anyways.
Well, my point is, again, even though it's like, again, it's a kind of a elongated song, though. You got to give them that, though. Again, it's not much of a courtship. It's more like a "Can you read my mind" sequence flying across the place, as they get to know each other through song. Again, the whole new world of it all. It's again, you almost, again, emphasis on the almost. You almost buy an instant relationship with these two kids. Not as well as certainly in better explored things in the Renaissance, but it's like, hey, there's. Again, they these two crazy kids be kind of nice, and the birds chant, the swallows chant.
What's be crazy about it is that like she, they set up the whole like, oh, I want to find someone who's just the right size as me, and then just like instantly that same night it happens. It's just so convenient.
Okay, you're right about. Look, I'm not going to fight you on the convenience. It's convenient. I told you they rushed the script. What do you want?
All right. Okay, let's move on to Giacomo, who's the one character in this movie who's not a dick.
Okay, again, the prince was trying to save her, okay? Let's give him points where points are due.
Alright, fine. He still has a bitchy Legend of Zelda Link face, but yeah, he's not a
that's
dick.
Not judgmental of you after all, okay.
But Giacomo, honestly, I like. He is one element of the movie that I will give a pass to. And I will be honest with you, Dragon. When his fake death happened, I wasn't 100% sure if they were going to do it or not, and I was kind of leaning towards like, oh, are they going to do it? So they didn't end up doing it, but it kind of had me a little bit.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And again, I like that he was like, he was in the corner of like, he's rooting for these two kids to get together. And he's been like, every turn when she's down. Again, these add to a little bit to her development. Again, aided by another character, but again, I won't fault it because I like this Giacomo guy. I like him. Where he's like saying, well, so someone said you're ugly. Did the prince say you're ugly? Then stick with him. It's like good advice. Thank you, Giacomo. I gotta tell you, I may be a little overused with that opening song though. Here's the thing. So Giacomo, I like him as the narrator, like when he's going through the storybook and we kind of literally bookend the movie. That's good, and that's kind of how the original story was. I don't know, like the opening with the song with him. I don't know. I've been like, hey, we got this Giacomo character, we need to fill up some time. Let's do it.
It doesn't bother me, to tell you the truth. I don't know why. I mean, it kind of reminds me of something like, how Bert and Mary Poppins is the narrator, but he also shows up in the story.
No, I mean, I like that he's in the story. I'm just saying how we open on him sort of like he's like, it feels like Don Bluth is using an excuse like, hey, I got to use this new CG kind of environment. We got to use kind of the CG multiplane thing we're doing right now.
Okay, that's another thing, is that the CG in this movie looks terrible. It's not used very often, but it's terrible.
That's what I'm saying. The opening of the movie is that it just feels like, well, man, we're showcasing the CG and we're using Giacomo to do it. It's like, dude, really, that's what I'm saying. That's like, we really need him to kind of give us that CG tour through Paris and this kind of this multiplane equivalency.
Oh, by the way, the movie really doesn't feel like it takes place in Paris if it weren't for Giacomo.
I know, right? That's what I'm saying. To take the opening out, it's like, okay, he's a French narrator, let's go with it.
I mean, if anything, with all the frogs and insects and everything, it feels like kind of like a weird Princess and the Frog predecessor.
Kind of.
All right.
All right. So, King and Queen, King Colbert and Queen Tabitha. So, Kenny Mars, again, King Triton from Little Mermaid for the kids.
Okay, so Dragon, this is a Fox movie, and I'm just going to call it out there right now. Disney is going to remake every one of their animated movies, and then they're going to go through, and they're going to remake every single one of Don Bluth's movies. And Dragon, the character of King Colbert is going to be played by Stephen Colbert.
That would be delightful. I gotta be honest.
Okay, here's the thing with these characters: they don't have much screen time. There's really not much to go over with them. I admire them for like, hey, we're gonna try to do what we can do to stop the storm from coming. Essentially, it's like a Game of Thrones, like winter is coming type scenario. But Dragon, as was alluded to earlier in the podcast, I really don't think the weather system in this movie and the fairy magic and everything is spelled out very well.
No, and again, it had a nice bit to set up the stakes initially, but yeah, we just kind of like the passage of time is a fickle mistress in this film. I mean, I love I like the king and queen, they're very brief role, but it's a nice lived-in brief role there, where it's like, okay, like the queen's like, I don't know why he's not flying on his fancy little, his white butterfly. Why has he got to ride like kind of the motorcycle equivalent for fairies with the bumblebee? Why is he?
Okay, that's another thing. I will give it credit. The bumblebee is nice.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It kind of feels like a predecessor to Anthony.
Yeah. So I like that in the brief screen time they had, there was a parental presence that you felt, and it was like there was a love and there was a care. It's like, oh, the aimless prince, like, oh, come on, honey, everyone was young once, and and then of course we have that bit where like, I gotta go save her, but we can only hold it for a day, and again that makes you think it's a 24-hour thing, which of course. Given the seasons, again, I think it's just supposed to be fall, and I guess by all means, it goes on after that. But again, it's like, really, how long why we set up like a 24-hour thing? We're just going to be there afterwards. I don't know why.
It's fucking weird, dude. It really doesn't make any sense.
All
right. Next up, we have.
Here's a Pip. Now we're getting to the Toads.
Oh. Okay, can I just say the Charo musical number is fun? But then she just completely disappears from the movie, and I wonder why. I'm sure they probably just hired her to do a song, and that's it.
Yep. I don't doubt it. Okay, a lot of problems here. Okay, so Biggest problem.
Yeah, I'll give you the floor on this one, buddy.
Okay, biggest problem spot of the whole movie for me. This is where the movie truly kind of like starts. Like, I think it was pretty solid. Again, yes, albeit you give him a miracle exemption. Like, yes, okay, we're gonna rush the romance, but beyond that, this is where things go awry. And again, it's kind of in the midst of that, so it's kind of have your cake, then we take it away again. So we have our Donner Superman flight, if you will, the whole new world of it all. Like, we're going around like, hey, we're bonding, and of course, in the midst of a nice romantic ditty, we have just this random lily pad in a boat with this stupid looking. I know it says toad, but why they all look like frogs? This this Grundle Toad guy, like this toad in a Pagliacci outfit, just like goofing up the frame. I was like, why do we? I'm looking. I'm looking at like an eye chart. Like, what is happening? It's like, what? Is this like a bar or something? What is this? So anyway, then we fly off and you think, okay, that's the end of that. And of course,
Dragon is a big-lipped alligator moment. That's what it is.
Big lip toad moment, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
So again, I'm thinking like, why did we stop here outside of plot reasons? Really, when you look at it, and again, like apparently, again, I was not familiar. After the movie, I checked the source material because I haven't read it in depth, folks. It's been forever, but I checked the the synopses and such. It's like, okay, that's the toads do kidnap her, and that's why that's in there. So that's the rationale for why we insert them in there. So I mean, I guess you could give them points for the toads don't come completely out of nowhere, but it's still stupid, so no points. It's just like it clarifies it clarifies the reason, but basically it just feels like the whole affair, the whole reason the toads are in the movie, it really comes across like it's a reason to get Charo in the movie.
That's big time.
Like, hey, we
big
got time. Charo dudes, we got Barry Manilow and Charo.
Okay, and you know what? You know what? I feel like if they just had Charo and she just did the one song and then just kind of left the movie and that was it, fine.
Yeah, and it's just, God, it comes across really weird. It's this Grundle Toad characters as like the suitor characters getting married off. He's just getting married. Like, okay, just take her along with your troop. Why marry her off to one of your sons, which is already kind of creepy? Why do that? And better questions. Okay, better questions. One, why did you just leave her there if you want to get her married off? Don't just bring the Padre to her. Why don't you take her to the Padre? There's an idea.
Right.
Okay, there's that. And also, is Charo deaf? Because at many points you say, no, I can't marry him. I don't love him, which again has resonance later in the movie because we need it to have an ending to the movie. But apparently, this Charo Toad is deaf because she can't hear a thing. Says, no, I can't marry him. Says, well, no, I'm going to look for the Padre, and she's off. Like, what? Again, the Grundle Toad character in himself, he's too stupid, and his motive sucks. I said it. His motive sucks. I will marry her. It's like because his idiot brothers are laughing at him. What?
Oh yeah, and it just kind of starts the problem of like Charo in some way is a villain, Grundle Toad is the villain. I mean, like really, this movie has no real defined antagonist.
That's what I'm saying because the antagonists are they're kind of passive, but they're kind of not.
Yeah.
They're just pushy. It's like I don't think they're not. They have mustaches, but they're not necessarily twirling them. It's kind of what.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
All right, so then we get to speaking of someone with a mustache, we got Berkeley Beetle. Okay, this guy, he is fun. I got to give him that.
Okay, this guy I feel like is the big-lipped alligator moment of the movie. His musical number like really makes no sense in the context of everything else.
Nope.
And he does show up later in the movie, but really if you write him out, it would change practically nothing.
And yet again, makes no sense because he can outthink this Grundle Toad guy, but the Grundle Toad guy is still calling the shots. Why?
Okay, and yet it's Gilbert Gottfried, so I can honestly forgive all of that.
Here's the thing. I want to be clear, okay? I think the Beetle is. I love the Beetle design. I think he is.
The design is wonderful. The design, I think, is hands the best design in the movie.
100%. And he does a little musical number again, while random. It's quite fun. I gotta tell you, here's the thing. So the Beal again. He's very much he's a user. He's kind of like he's kind of vaguely a con man. He's a selfish guy, very unloyal, very good dancer. I'll give him points there. Very excellent dancer, this Beetle.
He just gives off such a creeper vibe, though.
He does. That's the thing. Okay, that's what I'm getting to. Is that the problem is the Beetle? He would not fly today by any stretch. This Beetle would never. Because look, remember when he shows all he's kissing her and he's really really creepy. This Beetle would never fly. No pun intended with the wings. Well, now we know he would never fly. He doesn't have any wings. Would never fly.
Yeah.
And he really hurts poor Thumbelina's feelings. As Mocker says, "You'll get over me." It's like, oh man, that's not right.
Yeah, once again, he's a total asshole.
Yep. Which again is the point.
Movie.
Yeah. Which I guess is the point, but why can't this guy be the antagonist instead of the Grundletoad guy? That's my question.
Yeah, and then like you said, when Grundletoad and him team up, he's really just kind of like playing second fiddle, and he doesn't have anything interesting or fun to do. So what's really the point of even him being there?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he's next to going to go by like that.
Okay, so Mrs. Fieldmouse, Carol Channing.
Yeah, I don't think it's her best use though. But
no, it's really not. It's really not.
I gotta tell you, did you get this Field Mouse, man? I don't know if it was just me. You can tell me you thought it's. I got major bad guy vibes from the Field Mouse. Very greedy, very insincere.
They're all assholes, Dragon. This is what I've been telling you the whole time.
Yeah.
All of them. Besides, like maybe Giacomo, the parental figures, and the prince.
Yep.
All of them are assholes.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
As if someone could have thought to organize them as such. So yeah, it's
I don't adapt fairy tales straight up. This is why we make changes to fairy tales.
This is true. Now, to be fair, again, I haven't read the book, so I can't speak to how sinister the Field Mouse was. All I know is the Field Mouse brings her to the mole, and again, that's straightforward. That's how it does go. So I mean, I don't know if the Field Mouse is as.
I just think, like, I just want to state for the record that I weep for Carol Channing that she had to record a song that's literally called "Marry the Mole."
You know what's so sad? She got a Razzie for it.
Oh no! Oh!
Tiki, this is now again. This was like years ago that they this was like as a state of record. I think by now, I think the Emoji Movie has also kind of moved in on this. But Thumbelina with that song was like the first animation Razzie ever.
Oh man! I mean, I can't say it doesn't deserve it, but still.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad. I
feel bad for Channing for that, man.
I feel bad for Carol Channing, but nothing. I'm going to be honest. Okay, look, nothing against Carol Channing. She passed away last year. I feel awful just saying this, but you know what? Carol Channing, this character, this is just a bad idea. This whole Carol Channing Field Mouse thing. The Field Mouse character, I don't know what it was. I think it's the direction. It was just so half-hearted or something too. I'm going to blame the voice direction on this one, not her. Voice direction was just like Carol, just read the lines. I mean, she's like vaguely sinister, I guess.
Right.
It's like play it like Diane Sawyer. Be very insincere. Just go for it. All right.
So let's get to Mr. Mole. Marry the Mole.
Okay, so Mr. Mole, John Hurt, the wonderful John Hurt.
Again, wasted. Just fucking wasted.
Wasted, not as bad as Carol Channing, but wasted for sure, yeah.
And another iconic 80s actor that we just lost recently.
Yeah. It's again very nice. I gotta tell you, I do like the mole's design. Not as much as I like the Beatles' design, but I do like his design. He's kind of seems like initially pleasant.
Spade a spade here. The movie basically turns into the final act of the first book of a series of unfortunate events.
Pretty much.
It's just like there's a forced wedding, there's a bunch of drama, it's just all too much.
Now, to be fair, again, I gotta admit, this is a little refreshing. We didn't have a whole thing like the mole six his henchmen on her. Well, no, it doesn't really happen at all. It's just like the mole's like, I'd like to marry her. She has a nice singing voice. And it's like, again, if you didn't see the sadistic, I'm gonna nail these insects and winged creatures to my wall, pleasant guy.
Uh-huh.
But we have it, so that's really off-putting. It's weird. It's just, I don't know why that choice was kept in there, because basically we need to get Giacomo in there somehow, and the beetle needs to. Why does the beetle? That's the thing. It's all the beetle's supposed to be afraid. Doesn't even have any wings to get nailed. That's all weird, man. It's all weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, let's dig through the Bluth of it all here.
Okay. Oh, this is gonna go by quick. Find some diamonds in the Bluth.
Yes.
Oh boy. All right. Well, the Beatles got a good design. I do think in terms of just the Bluthian elements, this movie, it's not a very good representation of Bluth, but it does kind of have the whole, like, let's put the main character through a bunch of shit until she comes out with a happy ending on the other side.
Yep.
I mean, fundamentally, you can't argue that is there.
Yep.
It's not done well at all, but that formula is still intact.
True. Again, I get, for the most part, the design work, mainly in the scaling, again, like in the whole scaling of Thumbelina against the outside world and everything, and like our sets, like the whole Beetle little, like nightclub thing. Good design work.
The multiplane animation, when it's not CG, is really well done.
The near death of Giacomo, as we said, had weight to it, which again was.
It had weight. It honestly, like, that was probably the moment where I was like, "Oh, this is actually a Don Bluth movie."
Yeah, and again, I'll say it again. It's like the music, while not iconic, was pleasant.
No.
I gotta tell you, it was kind of ambiently pleasing. It's like, this
ambiently pleasing. All right, put that on the poster.
But it was not. That's what I'm saying, though. It's like
it's not gonna.
It ain't gonna go down the whole thing. But it was nice. It's like, this is kind of like if you're sitting through, like, this is kind of nice. It's like Jody Benson. I gotta tell you, I don't know if look into this afterwards, Tiki. I'm convinced that Barry Mann, whether it'll be out of laziness or not, because I like this song, but I'm convinced he stole the melody of a song, not one of his. Stole a melody to a song, and he used it for like the main love song. I'm convinced he stole the melody of Nat King Cole's "When I Fall in Love with You."
I really wouldn't be surprised, Dragon. I really wouldn't
be. I'm saying, if you line them up, I'm convinced you'll hear like the same melodies. Oh my god, I used the.
And Dragon, I honestly just want to state for the record, as we go further into this whole mess, I think one of the quintessential things that kind of ruined Bluth, and I mean, when you look at the track record from him having musicals, I mean, honestly, Secret and Nim had a couple musical numbers. Had a heart-wrenching musical number in the first act. Land Before Time, of course, had the iconic Diana Ross song. American Tail, of course, had the iconic, I'm Somewhere Out There. And All Dogs had a couple songs. You Can't Keep a Good Dog Down, and the Big Lipped Alligator Moment song. But Dragon, through and through, those movies were not really structured as musicals. They didn't have songs running through the whole runtime. And honestly, as much as it would be appropriate for Rockadoodle, neither did Rockadoodle either, to a certain extent. It certainly had more music than the earlier Bluth films, but it didn't have a ton. And so, Dragon, I'm going to kind of go ahead and weave this into my final thoughts here. So, I mean, with that in mind, I feel like really the thing that really kills Bluth at the end of the day, and that we're going to get away from, we'll get into something like Titan AE, is, and of course the Anastasia is the exception to this rule, but man, Bluth does not do good with musicals, bro.
Yeah, he kind of learned the hard way as he was figuring it out, as another way to put it. Again, he's figuring out the hard way.
Again, Anastasia slaps. Anastasia is now a wonderful Broadway show. It's weird, but this was a very hard stepping stone, to say the least.
Yep.
All right, final thoughts from you.
Final thoughts from me. I mean, look, again, I feel it was because again, I had a really bad time with Rockadoodle. I felt, to me, this was a vast improvement for Rockadoodle. Definitely.
I strongly disagree with that.
But again, we have to disagree. What is so? But again, definitely not Bluth's best for sure. Self-admitted by him himself. Like, not my best writing. That best the script. I was doing money problems. Again, he's admitted it, so he knows it. Again, this is to me though. This was close to being something. You know, it lacks time with the main characters. Again, we as we've kind of learned here in our little discussion. Again, they stuck too close to the source material, and this happens, and again, it seems to be. It seems to be the dangerous pattern for Don Bluth in this dark middle chapter of him going for a set piece and a film as a byproduct, where we need something to say that we're a film company because we're trying to keep our heads above water, and again that really hurts the creative process in doing that, and it's the same. And again, it's like the same sad story, for a lot of the greats. A lot of the greats, where again, it's kind of that they're going to do so well in the beginning, like that Phase One Don Bluth era, and of course, there's going to be a rough period. Disney's had a rough period for once Walt left. Once he left this plane of existence, we kind of
I would
there was a
argue
rough.
to say Disney is right now currently in a rough period.
But that's what I'm saying. There's like there's ups and downs, and Bluth he's still in the midst of a down, but he's treading water right now. I think he's gonna kind of drown until he's revived with Anastasia in the next one. I have a feeling. That's what we're looking at. So again, it's watchable, but if folks, you're looking for a compelling tiny person drama, George Shrinks. Watch the show. Okay.
Okay, and of course, next time, Dragon, I'm hoping for the best with this one in terms of the so bad it's good factor. That's about all I can hope for. The thing about Thumbelina is that I actually had some mild increment of hope that this would essentially be the always of BluthTember, and it really wasn't for me. But Troll in Central Park, Dragon, I mean, you and I can both agree this is going to be easily the worst yet, right? It's got to be.
I'm fearful of it, man. I don't want to, but we're gonna. I mean, the only thing, we got Dom DeLuise, but I don't think that's gonna save it.
Oh, it's really not. It's really
No,
not.
it's not. I mean, like again, the only thing in life that could save anything is Dom DeLuise, but this is not one of those times.
Dom DeLuise voices like the most obnoxious character in the movie, Dragon. It's not going to help anything.
I know that's what I'm saying, man. We're not gonna like his imaginary friend, like from Dexter. We're not getting that.
Oh God! All right. Well, folks, we've made it through another one of Don Bluth's movie-making misfires. Join us next time as we brave more films from the dark side of the Bluth on yet another harrowing installment of BluthTember.
BluthTember.
Marry the mole.